Connected to both of those, should be good. I can go ahead and swap to this. I can't new game? What if I... Oh, I probably hit the max save. Legacy. Non-standard standard. Log of Her Majesty's locomotive of the Orphean, March 14th, 1905. Our expedition to the domains of the dead have been eventful. The Orphean is damaged and is in grievous need of repairs and supplies. We are returning in haste to the Reach, where I hope to make port at New Winchester. May God be with us, for 1,000 deaths wait in the sky. Final entry of Captain Amelia Charity Whitlock, DCM, wrote shortly before her death. I love the sound of that whenever I think there's a way to... Not what I wanted to. We have returned to the Reach, an untamed, sunless span of the heavens. London's new frontier, celestial garden run wild. Your journey back from the Blue Kingdom was tumultuous. Your locomotive was damaged, and Captain Whitlock badly wounded. As first officer, the crew looked to you. The nearest station is New Winchester. Can you get the Orphean there safely? Once you leave your stokers, you find a barrel of fuel among the detritus. A wreck drifts here, less fortunate even than you. We should scavenger for repairs, a crewman suggests. The wreck hangs in the sky, pocketed with recent gunfire. You and the boarding party don your sky suits, garments of waxed canvas lined with felt to protect against the cold of the sky. Two of the crew are whispering as they dress. What business did Captain Whitlock have in the Blue Kingdom anyway? Why the devil did we trespass in the districts of the dead? You silence him. Now is not the time. Leap across the wreck. The gap between the two engines isn't wide, but the endless fathoms of heaven gape beneath it. You jump. Your stomach lurches with vertigo as the stars blaze above you and below. The air of the heavens is thin and torn by unpredictable winds. Then your boots hit the running board of Ozymandias, and your leather-gloved hands fumble for a hold. One of your companions throws you a line, and you lash the two engines together. Only then do the rest of the boarding party follow you. One of them forces open an exterior hatch, and you clamber inside. Her interior is cold, unlit and whistles with wind. Your party's lamps spread buttery light over the narrow paneled passages. You make your way towards the hold, stepping over bodies crumpled in the corridor. Unfortunately, the way is blocked. A bulkhead has been mangled inward by a well-aimed barrage. You can either clear the construction away or lead your party on a more precarious path. Locate a length of pipe and use it as a pry bar and set to work. Go to the Osmandius hole, climb past the blockage, and through a window on the far side. Do so carefully. We're gonna go on the more precarious path. Rather not destroy the already damaged ship even more. The rest of the boarding party follow you without enthusiasm. You recall the first time you stepped outside an engine, helping the captain fix a leak on an exterior pipe. The wind had shrieked, buffeting at you. You asked the captain what would happen if you slipped. You fall, she answered, tersely. But to where, you asked? She looked up. Well, she looked down, then up, then back. The sky's depths paralleled all about you. Away, she said, and you hear her fear. Back in the present, you tumble back into the Ozymandias. Through a shattered window, your party spill in after you, glad to be back inside. Conduct a thorough search. Your companions work quickly. The Ozymandias' hull has begun to creak. Your actions on board may have compromised its integrity. You find enough food and gear to restock your supplies, and enough spare parts to make necessary repairs to the Orphean. The food will need to be thoroughly not thawed, of course, but even worse in the skies. Oh ho, cries one of your party, prying the lid off a long crate, beholds a cannon still nestled in straw. Another crewman pulls a battered bird cage from the pile of ruined cargo. Within the cage, something winged and furred opens its sullen eye. You examine your finds. You gain 4 supplies, no total 5, and 15 whole, no total 30. The Ozymandias emits a long, juddering creak. The boarding party exchanged nervous glances. From the chaos of its hold, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment. A gun that could be mounted on your locomotive, and an educated bat. Mounted the Jerusalem cannon on the Orphean. Her own weapons were damaged during your flight from the Blue Kingdom. That leaves you vulnerable. Liberate a diffident bat and employ it as a scout. The heavens are wide, so locomotives use scouts, like bats, to locate things of interest. Ports, resources, wrecks. We claim both this, okay. So, mount the cannon. The Cotterell and Hathersage Jerusalem fire single shells to a good range, more or less accurately. You order 2 of your party to get back to your vessel and fit it immediately. The Osmandius groans again. The structure shudders, spasmodically. The Osmandius emits a long juddering creak. Your boarding party exchange nervous glances. From the chaos of its hold, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment. A gun that could be mounted on your locomotive and an educated bat. Okay. The heaven... Bat treats its rescue as an inconvenience and immediately begins haggling over pay. You offer to put it back in its damn cage and leave it on the Osmandius, which at point becomes more polite. You doubt it will last. Press on to the engine. You might find fuel there, but you had better hurry. The Osmandius is beginning to tear apart. It's not without risk. The wreckage of the Osmandius screeches as its metal buckles and tears. You press on through the shuddering corridors, searching frantically for the engine room. So I can either send a smaller party ahead to retrieve fuel, or go myself. It's foolish for you all to go. Send your quickest and lightest to retrieve fuel while the rest of you turn the Orphean. Part the skill of convincing and enduring. Go yourself, conduct a search. Send the rest of the boarding party back to Orphean and go alone. We will go alone. Ah, failure. I got hurt. The engine room is gray, with spilled ash and littered with corpses. Little else survived Osmandius' ruin. You search fruitlessly for coal, but you linger too long, and the wreck is racked with the final violent tremors. You race back to the Orpheum. With a dying groan, the Osmandius splits in two, sending shards of splintered plating spinning in the sky. Several of them bite into the Orpheum, mauling its hull. Stoking your engines, you steam away from the collapsing wreck. You are restocked and at least rearmed. You were restocked at least and rearmed. Basically, since we failed the challenge, we lost the basically the hole that we gathered in the first place. F to send out your scout. I don't want to do that, since I know right now this is a more narrow tutorial. The walls of the captain's cabin are lined with hodgepodge of curios from across the sky. Captain Whitlock lies in bed. Black marks cover her skin like a monstrous brand. When she coughs, coils of acrid smoke pour from her lungs. We're going to inquire after the captain's injuries or approach the bedside. Inquire the captain's injuries. A word of living fire pursued the Orpheum across the Blue Kingdom. It caught you just before you passed through the transit relay to the Reach. It set its brand upon the captain. It burned itself right through her, the doctor whispers. When I closed the worst of her wounds, I could see the sign seared into her bones and her organs. Judging from her symptoms, it's on the inside of her lungs, too. The captain leans to one side and vomits a plume of fire into a copper bowl. There's nothing the doctor can do. The walls of the captain's cabin are filled with the captain opens her eye, draws near. She attempts to smile. Her mouth is blistered from the blue fires that dance her tongue. Her hand grips your arm. Her skin is hot as a kettle. Made arrangements. The Orpheum will be yours. Her voice is just a rasp of burned meat breath. But promise. She breaks off to scream a word in a language that was not made for human mouths. When she resumes speaking English, she's weaker. She requests a little more than a gasp. Promise me one last service. Promise. Promise her you'll obey your last command. Make no promises. Tell her to rest. Pull away. Demand to know why she took the Orpheum to the Blue Kingdom. Whatever it is, you'll see it done. She sinks back relieved. All in my will, she gasps. Be it better. She breaks off as the sigils burned into her bones flare, glowing cheery red through her flesh and skin. Better captain than I. The efforts exhaust her. She sinks back into her scorched pillows and a twisting, frantic fever. Take your leave. You have an engine to command. You leave the cabin and the scorched stink of its air behind and return to the bridge. New Winchester's further than you'd like, and the captain hasn't long left. Reading. I don't think that tutorial normally has an evil fish. Oh. I took more damage than I'd like. Right aboard the buckled wreckage, poised to plunder the plunderers. Behind you, someone is hammering song victory. Raid the remains. Scrap it for repairs. Let's get some repairs. Your engineers scour the remains of the marauder for Intact parts, even before its feet, it was rusting and rickety. Its plating a patchwork of reclaimed steel and repurposed bronze wood, but enough that can be salvaged to repair some of the damages of your own locomotive. The can the Canton Carry are lumbering, half-fossilized isopods that will attack anything they disapprove of. Given that they are very ancient and murderously grumpy, that means almost everything. The largest chunk of the Canton Carry still lives. They can be slow to die. Stubbornness, perhaps, or the sluggish journey of the signals along their calcified nerves. Listen to its last complaint. Its parting grumble is bitter and mournful. Your crew share tales of the Canton Carry to distract them from the noise. Gain experience, a sky story into your tales. Praise precious stones from its carapace. Sometimes clusters of jasper, tourmaline, or agate can be found embedded. That is a 24 chance of success. Leave the pests untouched. You have presumably less unpleasant concerns to attend to. If he had butchery, I could do that. And then if I had, when I'm half starved, we could eat some of it. We'll listen to his last complaint. It's for experience in a sky story. The Canton Carry grumbles at length in no apparent discomfort until its abrupt final silence. I heard, says a solemn junior signaler, that when their world was dying, they didn't fix it or try to leave. They just burrowed into its crust and slept until the end. It crumbled around them, and they woke among its fragments. Yeah. You coast into the bustle, the dim, the soot and the steam of the Wolvesy station. It is clogged with other engines, scrappy mining locomotives from Lustrum Way, weathered explorers gleaming with frost, sleek company vessels with bright brass fittings. No sooner have you pulled into the sidings than a burlesque station master bustles over. He requests to come aboard. I must speak with your captain, he insists, brandishing a ledger. The usual formalities. Look to the Orphean's doctor. He has just appeared at your shoulder. His face is sullen. His hat is in his hands. He lowers his eyes. The crew exchange bleak, wordless looks. The Orphean itself is suddenly more empty. The station master looks confused. You inform him that, unfortunately, Captain Whitlock has just passed. Ah, he said naturally. Sorry to hear that. Very sad, very sad. He waits for what he considers an appropriate minute and a half before continuing. Alas, even amongst the tragedy, the cogs of bureaucracy must turn. If Captain Whitlock is deceased, the station authority requires their answers from the first officer. He dons a set of spectacles and locates his pen. It'll be relatively painless. Name, background, purpose of visit, etc. Shall we begin? Alright. Today, London lies between the stars. Her new empire unfolds across the heavens. But 10 years ago, before the Northern Gate was opened, before the renewed Empress led her people to the skies, it lay in a vast cavern far beneath the earth. Deep, dark, marvelous. Who were you then? A street urchin. No parents, no laws, no masters, but also no roof over your head, no money, and often no dinner. Freedom comes at a price. High veils, skill of evading and deceiving. Soldier. Yours was not to reason why. Yours was but to do and die. You'll begin higher in skill of confronting overcoming. Wit. The pen, the ink, the blank. Monstrous page. My hearts. An academic, a student of the sciences, the arts, of philosophy. High mirrors. A priest. Hymns and hymnals, Sundays and sermons. My hearts. You roved a sailor, you roved the merciless waters onto the high iron. For a time, he served at the Ministry of Public Decency, a ministry auditor, which has become Her Majesty's preferred instrument. Years. Revolutionary, the world is broken. One way for the rich, another for the poor. He decided to do something about the high veils. Let's go Ministry Auditor. You are an auditor. The ministry is responsible for the promotion and preservation of British culture. It is a sprawling, many-branched institution. To which department were you anointed? This is like my secondary staff. The Information Office. The office ingests raw information before it can reach vulnerable citizens and then regurgitates it in terms they should find less distressing. Chris fails. The Department of Sensibility. Their task is to determine what constitutes Britishness and identify threats to it. Hearts. The Department of Corrections. Why censor when you can correct? A revisioned word here and an omitted sentence there. Now the whole page says something different, something less troublesome. This is mirror. So my primary one is about investigation. Do I want to be better at deceiving and evading? Enduring? Let us go with sensibility. And then I know that this is a harder one, as I know. I'll go with fame. Give me a good one. 'Specialist, doctor, professor, officer, archivist, principal, administrator, attendant, nurse, comrade, brother, sister, reverend, madam, captain. Archivist Bailey. Sure, we'll do that one. 3 weeks have passed. This morning, Captain Whitlock received a simple memorial service. Her body was consigned to a necropolis train bound for the serene mausoleum. Now you sit with a handful of her relatives in the threadbare offices of her solicitors. A methodical notary is reading the will. The captain was wealthy once, but squandered her capital on mysterious expenses before her expedition to the Blue Kingdom. So to the end, the captain's relatives, from which he was mostly estranged, are clearly wondering why you are here. In the final codicil, the notary announces, Captain Whitlock confirmed that possession of the Orphean was to be passed to its first officer. He peers at you with dry gray eyes. This includes a certain black box contained in the Orphean's hold. Captain Whitlock's final request was that, at the time of your choosing, you transport said box to an address in London. He hands you an address card and deposit it there. You are not to look inside. She gave no explanation. And that's it. You are a captain now. The Orphean is yours. So I can investigate box. I got some sovereigns. Let's investigate the black box first. Captain Whitlock left. Why are you glowing? Captain Whitlock left it to you in the hold of the Orphean. Her will described it only as a black box, a description you consider to be an unhelpful understatement. It is a cask of black basalt, longer than you are tall, unadorned, with a single small recess that contains a hole. The thing must weigh almost a ton. It stands upright in a corner of the hold where the crew have pushed it out of the way. What to do with it, try to remember, acquire to examine, sell it, and all these others. Try to remember when she acquired it. Captain Whitlock had it brought on aboard just before your ill-fated expedition to the Blue Kingdom. It was empty then. You know it because you saw the lid and the box carried on board separately and assembled in the hold. It's not empty now. It's sealed and even heavier than before. Before you left the Blue Kingdom, shortly after the box was delivered, and made no... Well, you left for the Blue Kingdom shortly after the box was delivered and made no stops along the way. So whatever is inside the box now, Captain Whitlock found in the Blue Kingdom. Consider what to do with it. The last request of Captain Amelia Whitlock was for the box to be transported to a specific address in London. Alternatively, you could perhaps find someone willing to purchase it as a curiosity, and if you knew what was inside, you might be able to command a higher price. Examine it. There are no carvings or inscriptions on it. The join where the lid meets the body is too thin to admit even a knife blade. There are no holes by which light or air might find their way in. It is impossible to see inside without opening it. Even the keyhole has been engineered in such a way as to prevent peeking. The recess is with the keyhole, though, as far as you can determine that it is a more recent addition to the box. The stone has been drilled and chiseled away to create a space for a modern metal lock. Alright. So if I had explosives, I could potentially open it. If I had a savage secret, I could open it. If I had affiliation in villainy 2 and 200 sovereigns, they could open it. If I had affiliation with the Academy and an uncanny specimen. And then I could just sell it as a... Perhaps not. Let's explore the city. The smoggy, clanking, singing, stamping, thronging, fanatic heart of the Reach, an ever-expanding port of soot, smudged glass, and bright steel, spilling across the drifting, mist-wrapped archipelago. Its factories sunder, its engine sheds ring with hammers and hiss with steam. Locomotives chug into siding for repair, or flare across the sky and find their way into the high wilderness. An opportunity to learn about trading. Nice. A porter at the station advises you to visit a nearby pub, The Promise of Days, and talk to the seasoned captains there. They keep their ears to the ground and they know an opportunity or two. Alright, let's visit The Promise of Days. Old pistons gleam the walls. The shelves are crowded with mementos from across the sky. The clientele raise their voices to be heard above the comforting clamor of the adjacent engine yards. You may find helpful advice here. Introduce yourself to the seasoned captains. They're always happy to offer words of advice, sometimes many words. Four are gathered at their usual table: the masked citizen, a libertine, a polymath, and a pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school. The bedeviled didact, a scholar haunted by his discoveries. Oh, I see. That big thing was just for... So the masked citizen is a libertine, a polymath, and pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school. The bedeviled didact, a scholar haunted by his discoveries. The plucky baroness, explorer, collector, and philatelist. And Spatchcocker Meg, who hunts monsters. Of course, everything out here is jolly dangerous, says the baroness. Few risks skies, so news of distant ports is valuable. Collect port reports from places you visit and deliver them to Victory Hall or Company House. The more you turn in at once, the more they'll pay. Look for other opportunities on the way, advised the masked citizen. Passengers who want transport, rich men in need of bloody work, etc. Ask them how to make your fortune through trade. Between them, they've carried Navarrete gemstones from Eleutheria, souls to the Blue Kingdom, and raw hours to London. Have any tips? Ah, the didact says, fiddling with his innumerable talismans, an essential topic. Meg slides you a stool and the captain shuffle around to make room. The masked citizens buy you a drink of their own invention. It is violet and foggy. The plucky baroness gives you a brisk, encouraging grin. Ask away. Let's see. Ask about the markets. Ask about prospects. Trading opportunity. Ask if they know of good prospects. Ask about bargains. Ask how to expand the prospects and bargains available to you. I believe it's like as you raise your... Basically, as you raise your connections with a group, you get more opportunities within that group. But you know of a good prospect. The host at Magdalene needs an urgent delivery of seeds, paying a pretty penny too. If I were you, I'd get to the bazaar straight away, put my mark against it. Meg grunts. Broker in Port Avon is selling cheap seeds. Chirpy chap, God knows why. His face looks like it's been punched through a mangle. An opportunity. Port Avon lies to the west-northwest of New Winchester, and Magdalene's lies to the southeast. So, west-northwest. Alright, and then southeast. So basically in the opposite directions. Alright, bid them goodbye. My ambition. Ponder your ambition, where to begin. You take advantage of the quiet moment to pull out your journal. The blank page sits before you, smug and unblemished. The horror. At last, inspiration strikes. You need fresh material, that's the ticket. Go and explore the high wilderness, gather sky stores and scales of terror to begin the song of sky. Alright. An opportunity, the fastidious inspector. Excuse me, Captain. A woman pushes through the crowds towards you. She is short and square-shouldered in a neat black suit and polished shoes. She shows you the case of her pocket watch. It is embossed with the crown and hourglass of the London's horological office. The body responsible for ensuring time is consistent across the empire. I'm hoping to book passage to Port Prosper, she says, slipping that watch away. I can, of course, pay. Officer pay sounds promising. Thank you. The locomotive I was on broke down following a boiler rupture. The chief engineer's fault, I suspect. Gentleman fonder of brandy than of diligence. Here, an initial sum to seal our bargain. Prosper lies south-southeast. Not that there is such a thing as north-southeast, or indeed west out here. Instead, London cartographers picked 4 of the brighter, more reliable stars, visible from the Empress's new palace, and named the northeast, south, and west. Londoners value familiarity. Alright. A navigator. I specialize in test driving, but I'm looking for something quieter. This driver indicates a crashed engine still smoking. Like that, without screaming. What harm can it do? It will get you a chief engineer who will increase your iron by 6, your earth by 2, and your affiliation and establishment by 1. Nice. The driver boards, eager to get started. I recently parted ways with the Windward Company, they explained. Personally, I think a crash a week isn't so bad. They disagreed. Oh well, live and learn. Repair locomotive. Engineers at the Wolseley Yard claim they could repair anything, whether the damage was caused by an unfortunate collision, a point-blank salvo, or the charge of a crotchety cantankery. They'll fix it. Full repair. Perhaps not. And then can explore the city more. Inquire about the Winchester War. The slow-burning war for the Reach forms the backdrop of daily life in New Winchester. Citizens wishing to keep up with the developments of the war turn to the New Gazette. It is famously the only newspaper worth reading in New Winchester, as well as the only paper that hasn't bankrupted itself. Its quality speaks for itself. Here you can read about current progress of the war, check your reputation with the factions, and who currently controls the Reach. Read about the current political situation to learn who currently controls, and you'll learn about my reputations between the Tackities and the stovepipes. Analysis. The Assembly runs New Winchester from Victory Hall and seeks to strengthen its hand within the Reach. London's proxy, the Windward Company, however, maintains a considerable presence in the Reach. Although New Winchester is still neutral ground, tensions are mounting within and without the port. Then search for my name. There's no mention of me. I'm not any interest in them. Makes sense. See. Seeds for Magdalene's. Magdalene provides comfort and sympathy to the weary skyfarer. Its hosts will tell you any lie you need to hear. Some of those lies require flowers. The inimitable host wants up to 3 sacks of verdant seeds and will pay 80 sovereigns for each. Magdalene's lies to the southeast of New Winchester. Magdalene's house. 3 gourds of nectar. We'll grab the seeds. 1. The different vehicles I can buy. Fuel. I have to make sure I have enough money for the seeds, so hopefully that'll be enough. So we need to go west, northwest for the seeds initially. Alright, so I do have them equipped. Distant clamor of engine yards and an accretion of smog on the windows. Try not to die. Distant nebula shines on this place. Its light is mellow as melted butter. The sky is cool and as blue as ice and glass. Or Eggman. Behold, a ruin of giants, gargantuan blocks jigsaw together, furred with moss and whisperings with orchards. A bucolic village nestles amongst them. Smoke coils daintily from the chimneys. A leisurely game of cricket unfolds in the village on the village green. Disembark. A ramshackle dock juts into the sky beside the farmyard scattered with rusty locomotive parts. Plating, piping, a chugging motor with its innards exposed. An oily-faced, black-haired girl waves your locomotive into position. Welcome to Port Avon, she calls as you disembark. A rich knot of scents greets you, leaves and wood smoke, enriched by an infrequent but pungent intrusion of goat. Port Avon welcomes the visitors, but your novelty will wear off the more time you spend there. When you visit in the future, you may need to bring something to keep them friendly. Your welcome Port Avon is now 3. Port Avon spills prettily across sections of colossal drifting ruins. Its orchards bask in the evening gold light of a distant nebula. I can host a tea party if I have some dry tea. If I have salon stewed gossip. That. But I will grab a report. Were it not for the talk of smugglers and sky beasts, you could easily confuse this place for a village on a world you left behind. Quite peaceful here, apart from some fuss over a newspaper delivery. The villagers frown and change subject when you ask about it. Let's go to the bazaar. I don't have enough for the seeds, because I spent money on supplies. That is... Oh, that's not good. That's the whole reason I came here. How much money do I have right now? I have 48. So 48, 68. I shouldn't, but I'll sell one of each. And then just If I take the report back and turn it in before I go to um before I go back to the seed lady, I might be able to earn a little bit of money if I need to buy supplies or fire. I can buy souls. Is buying souls not illegal in the skies? Let's go to the Cyclopean ruins. What place is this? The giant king. What giant king made this home here? His home here. And why did he abandon the vast stores of souls that the locals still query from beneath the stones? Perhaps he might risk a further excavation of your own. Actions here of a wall, you're welcome. Not one of the looming stones is quite square, yet they all slot together immaculately. What were those ruins before their fall? Even their bones are tall and stately as the finest cathedrals of old France. What purpose did they serve in the past, plentiful days when their sun still shone? So, I can either conduct a nocturnal excavation, which is 17% success, or I could do Hearts 45. How they soar, how tragic, how solemn, look most rampant. Yes, success. I'll enjoy the Piscura surroundings. How vast were the beings that resided here? Were they kings? Was this their place? We sit in the monumental shadow of stone and watch wheels above. The stars wheel above. What must they think, those stars, to see such grand ruins become abode of such tiny, brief things? Yeah, I'm not gonna chance it. Nowhere in. Poor Avon's first public house stands amidst the nodding copse of apple trees inside. Brass gleams cozily on the beams. Windows, latches, doorknobs, and other fittings retrieved from the first locomotives that carried people here. A great polished wheel hangs on the wall. Read the work of speculative fiction. Stop whining. You want my lap? Come on. There you go. So I can read the work of speculative fiction. I can appreciate an amount of cider. That cost me money though. I unlocked it with 3 sovereigns. I needed 2. Um, Speak to the short-sighted cryptozoologist. Um, Intercede a mushroomy matter. Head upstairs. New Somerset Hunting Club. Interesting. Let us talk to the cryptozoologist. A tiny figure weighed down by 2 backpacks and a heavy duffel coat looks through thick glasses at our map and then up at you. Excuse me, I need passage. I don't suppose you could help me? I'm on the trail of unusual beasts, and I can pay for time. Where do you need to go? Lustrum, beams the short-sighted cryptozoologist. She leans in conspiratorially, then realizing she's whispering to one of the inwooded beams, leans over to where you actually are. I hear there's a curator who lives there. With the people. Mr. Pennies. I've always wanted to meet a curator, just safely. How many welcomes do I have? So I still have this. Let's read the fiction. The fabulous work have accepted applications, which store catches your eye. Eyes of heaven, bones in the well, a devil's confession, a vacant throne, a corpse at the window. Darkly comic of domestic misbehavior, sinister tale of familial duty and intimate horror, political inevitability. Devil's confession. His companion's hooves thumped the crimson carpet. The corridor was long and lined with doors, each with a brass knob. He opened one. The room behind was filled from floor to ceiling with bottled souls. He tried another, the same. We've never found a use for them, the devil admitted. How many welcomes do I have left? Also, I can take a facet. Ah. Interlude of red gold, spell in prison, a letter of resignation, scarred, a scandal. So I'm just adding something that happened in my life, which will give me, and I can choose between. This one would give me mirrors and veils could be nice. I believe I currently have mirrors in some parts. Yeah, my mirrors is at 25. Gossip of London saloons. I got scarred. A letter of resignation. Uh, a bit in prison. We're interlude of red and gold. I believe I know this place they're talking about there. I'll do this one. Letter of resignation. One day you're informed that your services at the ministry were no longer required. They required your immediate resignation. They wouldn't fire you, of course. The ministry does not make mistakes. What led to your sudden departure? Change office politics or compromise allegiances? Change in management at Harp's chain. Oh, yeah, office politics. Right. Makes my veils and hearts even higher. Talk to the mushroom. Who does this creature belong to? Bellows a man. Fuchsia with rage. The Bloomington, the Bloomington points at its grizzled member of its species, most of whom are left behind underneath. The fuchsia gentleman roars in fury. Between bellows, the truth emerges. The Bloomington is no one's pet, and for worse, no one will admit responsibility for its tab. Just a fancy mushroom. The Bloomington is unconcerned with the tumult. It nods its cap at you with grim respect, then flops its tendril into a mug of stout. It stares bleakly through the window. What are you doing? Leave the matter well alone. Yeah, that costs money I do not have. Creatures does emit a rather aptly aroma and must have consumed an orchid's worth of scrumpy. It would be unduly charitable to pay to our tab. I guess head upstairs. Thick cigar smoke curls through the air, filling its private chamber with premium-grade fog. Bloated gentlemen in well-worn military uniforms sit at mahogany tables, sipping port. A chanter of the old days and how very much, very much better they were. Request membership of the club. It was a famous club in old London. Home not just nobles and distinguished soldiers, but ex-ministers, royal couriers, and other members of high society. Yeah, if I would have done this before fighting the one creature, I could have brought back a trophy. Cell veteran gives a plate once more. Suppose with confidence and application. Of course, membership is not a matter of mere money, no. You direct your attention to the trophies, which are old and musty. Neath creatures, deer, foxes, and a bear, all hunted in the members' now long-distant youth. Perhaps if you could decorate our walls some impressive local fauna, we can talk matters of first payment, and then membership. Of course, we could hunt these beasts ourselves, and we will. By thunder, we will. But the fire is so warm, and there's port left in the bottom. Alright. Village Green. A rural sommelier. Someone has grafted brass wheels to the carcass of an old armoire and impaled on top of its top with a jaunty damask umbrella. A man stands behind it, flesh and finery, the colors of the dawn, shepherding customers through their sampling of wines. Sweet wines, sour wines, subtle wines, and sinful spirits of every vintage, save, of course, the Hesperidian cider. He gives a small, sad laugh. I know, because I looked. This is the only place with real apples, but even here that cider eludes me. He beckons you with the gloved hand. Ask him about the Hesperidian cider. A rare vintage unheard of and unseen since London. This merits investigation. Come here. Oof. Come here and listen, you effervescent thing. I have a story. An associate of mine, he once gave me a sip of it. One golden drop to place under my tongue, and my life was changed. A carnivorous pleasure seeps in his voice as he speaks. I went back to the store immediately, of course, but the price was too much. And then eventually the dreams drained away, and now I'm here, serving wine to drunks. His laughter is black and bitter, but the rural sommelier gives you an address, nonetheless, just in case. If you decide to risk the same grief, savor it for me. Interesting. Heart of the village green. Take a relaxing stroll or sit with the eel fishers. They line the straight, stony edge of the block that juts to the sky, their rods hanging over the edge. Colonies of pardoner eels, smoky as sardines, breed on the underside of the port. You watch the fishers snag as they prey, heave them onto the rock, and put an end to the thrashing with eel mallets. Their catches are infrequent, though, starting the occasional struggles. Alright. You have worn out my welcome. It is suggested in firm and explicit terms that you must be on your way. Right. Time to undock, turn around. Hammer knew Winchester great her on the wind, familiar as a disagreeable uncle. I know I'm running low on supplies. Drop clerk. I represent Heliges, the banking house. I promise I'll take only a moment of your unquestionably valuable time. He produces a folded envelope contract with a flourish. Promising things about you, Archivist. Very promising indeed. Send services, secure solution for the storage of your assets. Only require signature. Unlock the bank vault. Interesting. Represent the beginning of a long and warm relationship. You'll find contents of the bank will be here to manage. So I can put stuff there that, like, I think I want to give to my next person. Where do I give the, where do I give the note thing to? The prestigious inspector approached together. Captain, good day. I notice your ship's clock has stopped. Perhaps permit me to repair it. Sure. Perfect things to be more than right. Perfect things to be right more than twice a day. She is a great flicker as well as at the work. Soon she has the back of the clock and the spread tiny cogs across the galley table. Obscure horological tools gleam brassily among them. Everything has a place. Appreciate the opportunity to keep myself busy. Staring too long at the stars is harmful to temperament. The round face, brown eyes, and short dark hair, she gives the impression of being perpetually busy. Inquire about her work, discuss the reach of her skills. What are her duties? It is of fundamental importance at 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June in one corner of the Empire occurs at the same time as 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June in the opposite corner. How is an empire to function if it can't agree on what day it is? Fortunately, the process is complicated by the fact that time is less than reliable it was. The hours trade has seen to that. Ask about the hours trade. We've heard that the Empress awarded her favorites with gifts of years to extend their lives. Then you can become rich, mining for hours out of a London's hunger for them. Oh, hours have more uses than that. We use them to increase the efficiency of our workloads, to speed journeys to distant regions, to resolve overcrowding in prisons. It does make my life more difficult when the time knots and stretches like wool on the loom. More difficult, but more vital. Her Majesty seized a great trove of them when she assumed the throne of hours. And now even more have been found in the reach. Miners dig them from the ground. She looks momentarily wistful. I hope someday to retire with a modest pension of years myself, to prolong the better part of my retirement. Ask about the war. Those who feel London is a long way away, and that they do a better job of governing themselves. The frontier attracts independent spirits. We call them Tacites. by the hobnail boots that are so practical here. London, unsurprisingly, disagrees. Windward Company earnestly represent Her Majesty's interests in the region. Some very earnest indeed. Taggarty's called London Loyalists stovepipes for our hats, I suppose. You, Captain, where your leaders like? What's London? Both? Remember your heritage and the Queen who leads you to the skies. Glad to hear it, she says. Compliment her skills. Thank you, she says, small embarrassed silence. Well, it's possible the inspector's pleased, rather hard to tell. You've got work to do. Gabriel's archive. I don't want to know if that was a bad person. I feel like I'm definitely gonna run out of supplies. Already. Not shooting at me, so I don't know. Bring. Crew of the Marauder light down the corridor, killed not by your guns, but the knives and small arms fire. The only survivor is the captain. Locked in the brig with a bottle of brandy. Chalk eyes stared back from every wall. When he ran out of chalk, he began scraping them in with his fingernails. They were mandated in bloody stumps. Seen this before, Captain. Sky madness. Magdalens can treat it. If you're buying tickets for that. Sure. Thanks to safety of your locomotive, about happy restrained, but should keep him from harm. Captain is secured. Loot. Faint luminary cage. Oh, can you? Bless me. Now I just need to actually find Magdalene's, which might not be the easiest thing to do, since I don't know where it is. I'm definitely gonna run out of supplies. I don't have any money, because I don't actually know where the places are to turn in the... I also feel like I took the wrong turn. I can't afford to use a bat, because that uses supplies I can't afford to lose. Gotta hope I find Magdalene soon, I suppose. The Fallows. Scavenge. Ooh, supplies. That helps a bit. Oh, Magdalen's place of peace. I did not think I would find as a place. New port. Dock. Can you be quiet? Magdalene's. The glass spires of Magdalene's pierce the cloud like swords. Shadowed figures can be seen moving through the gleaming corridors, their identities obscured by the hued glass. Crowds of skyfarers, ministry officials, and merchants mill about the forecourt in varying degrees of distress. All watch the clock set in the great clock tower, waiting for their appointed hour. Deliver the martyr. Nurses bring stretcher and carry the sky-mounted captain from a train. He'll receive care at Magdalene's finest. At least Magdalene's finest a sense of charity, given that he has nothing on him to pay for their menstruations. Ministrations, not menstruations. I gained a vision of the heaven, and you are briefly without terror. Write a port report. Buzz of activity fairly as clock chimes and a clamor goes up the front desk. Guests rushing to and from appointments. Lord Blank was seen in conversation with the inimitable host. The east wing was closed for general access all day. A certain distinguished admiral was seen with a second man entering the chambers of regret. Several guests have succumbed to an excess of sentimentality and were forcibly removed. Docks near New Winchester. Speak with the host. The attendant leaves you just the clock brings the time. The inimitable host reclines on a couch of crushed velvet, a goblet of sparkling wine in his long fingers. Somewhere in the tower above him, the great clock ticks away. As a policy, the host's atrium is always open to guests. He is available to hear opinions, friendly criticisms, and suggestions. Today he has a headache. Listen to his request. His voice is soft and sibilant, like butter melting in candlelight. A guest has become rather too attached to a particular attendant. He always requests that the same attendant appear in the exact same guise. The inimitable host's lips curl in distaste. He reiterates the aim of Magdalene's a place for comfort, a place of healing or respite. It was not meant to feed obsessions or self-indulgence, self-loathing. This guest brings sickness. I would have him purged. I have a dossier on a guest if you were willing to help. The animal host reclines on a couch of crushed velvet. Yeah. Take the lachrymose guest dossier. The inimitable host smiles indulgently. I'm so glad you want to help. He produces a thin silver of pages. Passage him to you. Remember taking on the role of one of our attendants. That way you'll be playing the role of someone significant to him. He knows all our attendants by voice now. Someone new is needed. Alright. Deal with the guest. How do you plan to deal with him? A treatment chamber has been emptied for you should you wish to adopt a guise from his past. Alternatively, he is standing right there. He don't notice you. He drove them apart once, and attendants will help you with a wig and makeup. Another with a voice. Attendants normally lover. Anything as long as it gets rid of them. Let's go, mother. You just look like the faded Deguro Degaro type. Down to the teeth. You gnash your teeth. You'll gnash your jaws reflexively. The lachrymose guest's eyes widen as he enters your chamber. This is a mistake. I didn't ask for this. You never do you? You get to work. When it's over, you doubt he'll be returning ever again. Speak with the host. Let me know. Better or worse, we're not returning. The host smiles beatific beatifically. Of course, my staff will be pleased. It is a risk of our trade when our clients can no longer separate identity from illusion, but seldom pleasant. He sighs deeply, echoing around the chamber like a newly freed dove. It is a trap any of us could fall into. His face darkens briefly. Here, take this. He fishes around beneath his coat for one of his goblets. They'll fetch a pretty price. Take it with my thanks. Do visit us again. Now he's got money. Speak with the internet. So shop, bazaar, sell the seeds, 240 apiece. Nice. Just what I needed. Although I must admit, I do miss roses and lilies and bluebells. Still, those celestial blooms have their own virtues. Some of them will weep, you know. Pays you a generous gratuity. Bargains available. Hours mined from the sky. The captain. Is it worth buying barrels of unseasoned hours? Is 114. I'm going to stop for now. And then, might continue this next time. I wanted to try to test to see how well my stream would do with Restream. Again, this time it wasn't dying as much. I also wasn't playing WoW, so... And WoW was surprisingly demanding. For some reason. But I think they were fine. That'll be all for tonight. Thank you for anyone who watched.